Today we will be reacting some videos of everything on top. So let's give some a look, shall we? First, I would like to say that Incredibox will release. The one of the mods. Wait, hold on. Is 13 and 18 bad, bro? Wait, no, it's actually bad. But anyways, if you're liking what you're seeing so far, please leave a like and subscribe. And let's get into it. Let's react to the TADC Infection AU Explained. Hold on, let me just move my model.
With the release of episode 5 in Digital Circus, a bunch of you have been asking me to cover the Infection AU created by Cemetery over on TikTok. At this point, most of you are probably familiar with this animation. It deals with a group of digital characters that were likely once human and have been trapped in this digital world. And this AI here, called Kane, is tasked with keeping the characters from going insane, because if they do, they become abstractions. However, this AU takes place in a reality where the abstractions don't exist, but rather a virus that is corrupting the code of this digital world and all the characters that reside there. Now, in the first chapter, we learn that the virus has always been present in this world, but it started to get more aggressive when Pomni arrived. And judging off the virus splattered on her bat here, it seems like she's been fighting a lot since she's arrived. And just like in the original animation, she is trying to find an exit, mostly because she doesn't think that there's a cure to this virus, and because she just wants out of this digital.
I forgot to mention that I will be streaming tomorrow or later, if that will happen. So keep an eye on that.
Trap. After that, we see Ragatha, and it looks like she just recently got infected when Pomni arrived. Based on what I read here, it looks like Rag tried to protect Pomni and ended up being harmed in the process, which is kind of canon if you remember what happened to her in episode 1. But it also looks like this virus is similar to the Pibby Darkness, and it's literally changing Ragatha's body, making her hand look more like a claw. We also learn that Ragatha is looking for a cure in this AU and doesn't even carry a weapon around because she doesn't want to hurt the people who were once her friends. Next we see Zoobles, and while she is helping Ragatha find a cure, it looks like she doesn't have a problem fighting the infected and is even considered to be their best tactical fighter in this AU. Part of the reason for this is that she doesn't get infected easily because she can just remove the infected part and replace it with a new limb, since she's like a mix and match toy. And something else that I found interesting here is that she has an injury on her arm, but it wasn't from an infected, but rather from Jax. And as we can see here, while he is slightly injured, he is not infected at all. Jax has simply lost his mind and is actually finding joy in this new infected world. It looks like Jax only cares about himself and is willing to take out infected and clean people alike. And as we can see here, he actually says that he's just fighting for fun, and he's actually covered in infected blood and also has an injury here from fighting Zooble. And it makes sense that these two characters will be at odds with each other, especially after watching this latest episode where the two of them are basically at each other's throats the whole time.
Bartender and a tattoo artist? You're killing me here, Zuby.
What do you mean when you say that? Do you have, like, an actual point, or are you just talking?
I'm just having fun. I forgot you hate fun.
Fun isn't the thing I hate.
Just like in the original series, we see that Kinger is still crazy as heck, and since he's been in this digital world the longest, he has witnessed every stage of this virus. Ragatha, though, seems to believe that Kinger is crucial to finding a cure, although since he has lost so much of his memory, it's actually hard to get any real help from him. I also want to point out that Kinger has this queen chess piece on his chain here, and this is a way to help him to remember his wife. Next we see Gangle, and I was sad to say that she is fully infected at this point, but it's interesting to see how her body has changed into like this ribbon monster. She also has 3 masks now instead of 2, with one of them being like this shadowy figure. And the characters have stated that they can hear her crying out in pain, but they believe that it's just a trick to get them to come out of hiding. And I think that those characters may be correct because as you see here, when uninfected people are close to her, this ribbon will start to glitch, making Gangle the perfect huntress in a way. Next we see Kane and Bubbles, and the fact that he's infected is a huge deal. Not so much
Oh,
for Bubbles.
how
Kane
did
is
I
basically
get
the AI that
infected?
is in charge of this world, but it seems like even though he was aware of the virus contaminating the world, he was not strong enough to stop it. But that doesn't mean that he didn't try, and that's actually how he ended up getting infected in the first place. He wanted to save the humans here, but he wasn't able to. And even though he's not aggressive now that he's infected, Kane is still trying to protect the humans by staying away from them. I think Kane understands that even before he was corrupted, he was kind of a wild card and a bit unstable. So now that he's corrupted, he definitely runs the risk of destroying not only the characters here, but also parts of this world because he can snap his finger and just make things disappear. After that, we get this image of Pomni talking to Cosmo, and we get to see that he's actually infected. And to make matters worse, he's also already at the third stage. It looks like he was the person that actually informed Pomni that there was an exit to this digital world, but unfortunately, he didn't realize that he was already infected, with the infection points actually starting at the palms of his hands. I also find it kind of creepy that when he got infected, he basically got this forever
I see
smile
it
on
right
his
now.
face, and he can no longer even speak because his jaw is basically locked.
Oh,
At the end of the first two chapters, we get a couple of interesting developments. The first is that Rag asks Zubul to cut off her infected arm, and the second is that Pomni spits up some of the infection. And this means that even though Ragatha tried to protect Pomni,
I think this is based on abstraction, so I don't know if that actually, if that's how abstraction works or something. But that's just my theory, I think. So, how do they get infected in the first place?
somehow she still ended up getting infected, even though I don't think that she was touched by any of the infected creatures. In the next chapter, Cemetery goes through each of the stages of the infection, using Rag as an example, basically showing what could happen to her if Zubul didn't cut off her infected arm in time. And the first stage is pretty tame, with increased stress and a little bit of black substance leaking from her eye. Stage 2 though is where things get bad. This is where the person starts to panic, and when they do that, that forces the virus to spread inside of them faster and also burst out of any wounds that they have, and of course out of their eyes. For some reason they blacked out stage 3 here, but we've already seen what that looks like with cough mode. And then lastly we get stage 4, and just like with Gangle, Rag's form is larger and also has additional limbs. And any bit
Huh? How? How does she get extra limbs?
behavior that she has that resembles the original Ragatha is just a trick to get the survivors to reveal themselves so that she can infect them with this needle that she's holding. But to be clear, this isn't canon right here. This was just the creator's way of showing all the stages and what could have happened to Rag if Zubul wasn't quick enough, or if they didn't actually cut away all the infection. But in the next chapter, we get confirmation that Zubul was able to chop the arm off in time, saying that she hopes Pomni was worth Rag losing her arm. Especially since Pomni was really freaking out when she first arrived in the digital world. Which, while you can't really blame her, it's kind of hard to think that she's going to be much help with the world. Which, while you can't
What is happening here? What is happening?
really blame her, it's kind of hard to think that she's going to be much help when she's having a full mental breakdown. But with Ragatha being her normal, optimistic self, she says that it's all going to be okay in the end, and then she goes to find Pomni, and we see that Pomni is still freaking out, not being able to come to terms with what's happening to her, or that all of this is real and not just a dream. And judging by the corrupted color in her eyes, I think that it's safe to say that she definitely did manage to get infected somehow. And when Ragatha says, "Oh my god, your eyes," I thought that she was speaking to Pomni, but she's actually speaking to Kinger here, who also seems to have been infected, or at least his eyes have the same infected glow as Pomni's. But when Rag tries to find out how he's feeling, Kinger just says that he heard her, and asks if they heard her as well. And then we see this image of his wife, fully infected, seemingly looking right at him. And then we get this dark image of Kinger. And while it's kind of hard to read, we see that he's saying, "Don't you see her too?" Showing not only that Kinger has really gone off the deep end, but also why he's crazy. It seems like in this AU, his wife probably got infected way earlier, since they were two of the first people actually to be stuck in this digital world. And once she was corrupted, Kinger slowly started to lose his mind, just like in the original show. Now, before we can see what Kinger is going to say next, we see an axe fly out of nowhere and hit him in the back of the head, luckily with the blunt side. And judging by Jack's reaction here, it looks like he was actually trying to take Kinger out. And of course, this ticks Zoobles off because she believes that they need Kinger to create a cure, while Jax is just out here to stir more chaos, or so it seems. But he does say here that Kinger may be able to infect people, but as Rag points out, Kinger hasn't been attacked by any infected, so he should be clean. But judging by the fact that Pomni also seems to be infected and she was never attacked, this may be like a Last of Us type situation where digital spores or something are floating around and infecting people without them really even knowing. And if that is the case, it's GG for this AU because I don't know how they can avoid that. Now after that, we see that Zooble and Jax are still arguing, but Jax makes another important point when he says, "Let me say this slowly so you'll understand. No cure will ever exist. Got it?" And this is really all it takes to plant that seed of doubt into Pomni. And then we see her eyes take on that infected color again. And while Pomni is having this internal struggle, wondering if she's going to lose her life to this virus, the creator does something cool. In this scene here, we see that Jax and Zoobles are both trying to get Pomni to join their side. And then we see this message pop up at the bottom of the screen that says admin access granted. And this is basically the fourth wall being broken, basically allowing Pomni to now hear the people leaving comments on the TikTok video. And the creator has basically made it to where the audience gets to choose what Pomni does next. Does he go with Jax or does he go with Zoobles? Put down in the comments who you think would be the best bet for Pomni. In the next chapter, we get to see a series of images that merge the TikTok comment section with the artwork, and we can see how the comments are affecting Pomni's decision. And while we obviously know what's happening, Pomni believes that she is just hearing random voices and is unsure if she should listen to them or not. But eventually she gives in and listens to the comments saying to go with Zoobles, which in my opinion is the right choice. And even though Zooble gives her a hard time, I think that that's just her personality, and she is actually really happy to have Pomni on her side. Also, judging by the way that Jax looks here, I'm positive that Pomni made the right choice. I feel like if she would have gone with him, he would have likely tried to take her out. Now back over with Ragatha, we see that she's getting ready to tie Kinger up so that they can see if he's infected. And if he is, she wants to watch him go through his transformation and see if they can learn anything from each of the stages. And while Pomni doesn't agree with this plan at all, I do kind of understand where Rag is coming from. They should try to learn everything they can about the virus. But considering that Pomni has already seen Kaufmo transform and learned nothing from it, I think it's safe to say that they need a new plan. But before they can make any decision, we see that Kinger pops up and he is still seeing visions of his late wife. Something that I find interesting here though is that when Rag asks him how he's doing, Kinger is aware that he isn't good. He says that he's hearing and seeing things, which kind of shows that he may not be completely crazy, because real crazy people don't know that they're actually losing their mind. And while Pomni makes a comment here talking about how hearing voices seems to be common in this world, I don't think that Kinger is hearing the voices of the comment section like Pomni is. And at the end of this chapter, we get another admin prop asking in the comments what they should do about Kinger. And then we see the comments come flooding in, most of them telling her to keep Kinger alive and safe, but also overwhelming Pomni in the process with all the chatter. And it was kind of cool to see the comment section start to take on the form of like the abstraction, or maybe this is supposed to be the virus, but this looks very much like the abstractions in the original series, which I think implies that all this feedback may be too much for Pomni and is having a negative effect on her sanity. And we even get to see Kane make an appearance for the first time here, inferring that Pomni is on some kind of adventure, and also acknowledging that she is different than the other characters in this world, which may be why the virus started to act up more when she arrived, and why it doesn't seem to affect her like it does some of the other characters. Because if you notice, Pomni still hasn't succumbed to the infection, although it looks like she's been infected for a while now. Now, based on the comment section, Pomni has decided to keep Kinger safe for now, and while Rag doesn't look happy about it, she seems to be willing to go along with it for the time being. Pomni also reveals to her team that she saw Kane, and this is where we get confirmation from Ragatha, basically telling us that Kane is still the ringleader of the circus, and he even did try to fix the virus, but when he ended up getting infected for his efforts, he hid away because he didn't want to risk hurting any of the other characters, which is pretty much what I imagined was going to happen. Because when you think about it, Kane is a bit quirky, but he's never been evil or like actively trying to hurt the player characters. So in a way, he is kind of looking out for these characters still, even if that is just with his absence. After that, we see Rag ask Kinger if he's still hallucinating, but before he can really answer, he is suddenly dragged away. And I assume, based on the ribbons here, that this is Gangle finally making her appearance. And if that wasn't bad enough, it looks like Zubul also disappears at the same time, forcing Rag and Pomni to have to make a choice. Do they go after Kinger or try to find Zubul, who is their best fighter? And not being able to decide, Pomni looks back at us in the comment section asking for our help, which I think should obviously be them going after Kinger. I feel like Zubul can probably handle herself, or at least for a little while Kinger is going to need help ASAP. And even though he is a little bit crazy, I still think that he's the most intelligent person on the team right now, and he probably has the best chance of helping them find a cure, especially when he has those moments of clarity. But unfortunately, we're left on a cliffhanger with this AU, but hopefully Cemetery will continue it soon, because judging by his comment section, it looks like a lot of people still want to see how this continues. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, check out this video on the screen here, hit the join button today to become a member of the Ors Force, and we will see you tomorrow with a video. Peace.
I think that's all that I have to react for this video. So, could I move on? Let me just...
With a release of episode...
Looks like I don't have to go. Like and subscribe. And comment what should I react to next. And as always, goodbye.